win you prizes. They help change lives.
What sport is considered the most popular in the world?
Football.
Every point you earn goes toward real-world support, from school supplies to health kits, clean water to emergency relief. Play smart, play big, play to aid. Catch all the action, the drama, and the heat.
Most commonly spoken language in Brazil.
Portuguese.
Play to aid every Sunday at 3:30 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
Edna, let's begin.
The Play to Aid game show is proudly sponsored by Tang Palace, Giraffe Island, and VVIP.
In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensah.
From social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensah.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together.
Hello and welcome to the Channel 1 Newsroom from our studios at number 5 Ola Hansen Lane at Tesano in Accra. I am Umaru Sandamadu. Coming up, 2 Ghanaian pilgrims die in Mecca at this year's Hajj. We'll bring you the details from Mecca.
The visas have actually been issued, and in the process, some attempt to realign the visas resulted in some unfortunate mistakes where their visas were withdrawn, so they brought 5 of them back. So, but we have only been informed. Like I told you, one died before we embarked on, so that one we know it, and then the second one died while he was on pilgrimage in Makkah.
Despite warnings, some residents of Weija remain in harm's way as Ghana Water Limited begins emergency spillage of the Weija Dam.
And some say yeah movie wa had no baby my na say bia yetumi akotena ho na say ekwa ya samba
nti say nya dia obe movie omo bie dam
na say ram mi dem nkwan dem me free no but because so ya de bia eni nsa na waka say wo betinam and obenya baby aso so de wo kwa eno an say de wo kwa sa unya baby.
GPRTU's 15% transport fare reduction takes effect today. Meanwhile, some drivers are still applying old fares, citing high cost of spare parts to justify their decision.
The channel long for no matter to so young penny at the edge, my pepe. No matter about one hand. Who call market? No man bought their market too much. Or sell market to so almost now wasn't no man call for me in a pepe because I had double for Yanaka form.
And just days after a major decongestion exercise, some street hawkers are back, reviving brisk business on roads recently cleared by city authorities in Accra.
The office in the head of Pamela Babasamba. The office in here, baby, I can't tell you.
From weekday,
oh, yeah, Baba, I did it there. Oh yeah, there, Baba. I tell no dear. Eh, no man.
Nine. We're grateful that you join us for the Channel 1 Newsroom on Channel 1 Television. We start off with Hajj matters, and the Ghana Hajj Task Force has confirmed the death of 2 Ghanaian pilgrims in Mecca during this year's pilgrimage. About 6,000 pilgrims traveled from Ghana to Saudi Arabia for this year's Hajj. The task force also revealed that 5 pilgrims have been deported over visa-related issues. In an interview, Channel 1 News, Head of Corporate Affairs at the Hajj Task Force, Alhaji A.B.A. Husseini, said arrangements have been made to return the deported pilgrims to Mecca once their visa errors are resolved.
Some technical language is there. Some say they were deported, but we choose to use the word repatriated. Deportation connotes some criminality, that you have committed a crime and you have been arrested, and upon the imposition of a sentence and serving out that sentence, you are bundled into an aircraft and brought back to your country. But these people who have returned have not committed any crime. It was an error in the issuance of their visa. The visas have actually been issued, and in the process, some attempt to realign the visas resulted in some unfortunate mistakes where their visas were withdrawn. So they brought 5 of them back. I can assure you that we are making every effort to get them back, to get them to go back, and the commission, the task force is hard at work to rectify that error. But we have only been informed. Like I told you, one died before we embarked on, so that one we know it, and then the second one died while he was on pilgrimage in Mecca.
Now, despite evacuation warnings from the Ghana Water Limited over possible flooding from ongoing spillage at the Weija Dam, many residents living in downstream communities remain unwilling to evacuate, citing a lack of alternative shelter and poor strategic planning by the authorities. Channel 1 News' Sheba Araba Benin has more in this report.
On Friday, May 23, Ghana Water Limited issued an evacuation notice to residents living downstream of the Weija Dam. According to them, the current operating level of the dam stands at 45 feet, just 2 feet below the safe operating level of 47 feet. Hence the need to spill excess water from the dam to avoid its breakdown. As a result, residents in communities such as Tetegu, Oblogo, Pambros Salt, Lower Weija, and Lower McCarthy Hill have been urged to evacuate to prevent loss of life and destruction of property. The last time the spillage was done, hundreds of residents were left homeless and several properties were destroyed in the process.
But a friend is last been now 4 years and they almost a bit chokuye. Satana Tina was on Tina Koji, Amukoyi in a femina ecoy. At the announcement no war. But you won't say I had the empty sanity. No, we are going back. A banner daughter, but yet to me, movies, I see a movie, I say, warranty of the good and see as ask anyone. If you are, yeah, sure, if you are, be a level now, you will call a hand. I call a position, young baby, and I am well. As almost a movie, I had an baby, my and I say, beer, it's me. I got now, and I say, a fire samba.
Just say, there will be movie or movie a dam.
Oh, movie a dam, not a ram me them one day in the fruit, but because so ya dear beer, a ning son of I say, who bets them, and I'll be your baby as soon so the whoop, and one said the whoop was a baby.
The affected communities are calling on the government to implement more sustainable measures to reduce the extent of damage caused by the spillage.
If it's a month we send so I come say oh Morocco, Baby Brand, no more be down this one. Say, about number here, maybe, and Bessie,
A fisherman who was severely affected by the spillage 2 years ago lamented the unfair distribution of relief items. He alleged that many of the truly affected persons never received the support meant for them. The communications manager of the Ghana Water Limited, Stanley Mate, stated that public sensitization has already been carried out, but evacuation responsibilities do not fall under the company's mandate.
Now, the river has its course by nature, okay, but human activities, okay, have encroached on the buffer zone. And it is the responsibility of the District Assembly to ensure that there isn't any encroachment on the buffer zone or any unauthorized location. So we, as stakeholders, we meet to advise each other. We meet to inform each other. We have met on this issue several times, and we keep telling the District Assembly that they shouldn't allow for this encroachment into that area. But we still see new structures coming up, and they are there and they are saying they can't move or they don't know where to go. That has nothing to do with the Ghana Water Company Limited.
In response to criticisms about the timing of the spillage, Stanley Mate explained that the inflows into the dam are unpredictable, particularly during periods of rainfall.
We don't know how the rains are going to be going forward. And just like what happened last 4 years, whether it's going to happen that way or not, we can't really tell. Ghana Meteorological Department is doing its best. But sometimes some of these things could fail. So what I expect of people encroaching in that area is to think of their lives.
Residents living in areas likely to be affected by the spillage of the Weija Dam say they have no immediate plans of evacuation despite the threat of damage to their properties and lives. They are therefore calling on the government to find other measures to prevent flooding in these areas. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I am Shiva Arababin.
Let's remain with this issue and speak to a member of the Ghana Institute of Architects, Tony Asari, on the ongoing situation. Sir, you're welcome to Channel 1 Newsroom.
Thank you, Marisanda.
Yeah, from your monitoring of this perennial issue, would you say enough has been done to avert a recurrence of the challenge recorded last year, for instance?
It's a difficult question to answer as to who should even do enough. A lot of the assemblies are under-resourced, and when it comes to issues of selling land, looking for permits, and then also development in areas that we are very sure we are not supposed to develop, it's difficult to tell whether enough has been done or not. This issue falls directly under development control by the district assembly. And for the reasons why they should not build there, it comes down to how much budget development control is given to be able to carry out their mandate. But also the responsibility falls on those who own the land and who sell the land to unsuspecting developers. But at the end of the day, we need to know that this thing has been happening over the past 15 years or so. A lot of them around this time will worry about the flood and the overflow and the spillage and all of that. But at the end of the day, when the rains recede, they go back.
The spillage began today. Based on your experience, how long does it take typically before its impact is felt in the affected communities?
Well, I don't know how long it takes. However, we know that the peak of our rainy season is between May, June, July, about May, June. Now, we still haven't reached the peak of the rainfall. So, now that we are in third week of May the rain is increasing. I'm looking at in the next 2 weeks, it's going to reach its peak. And that is where the source of worry is. The worry is not just about filling the dam and dislocating or dislodging people who are within that settlement, but there are other issues, such as septic tanks that will be flooded, wells that will be flooded. If you have water that is mixing up with sewage and such things, then we've been worried about secondary issues beyond the destruction of property. But we are looking at health issues and a whole lot of other things. So this thing is really, really worrying.
In your view, is there a realistic possibility of mitigating the flooding caused by the spillage this year?
The realistic thing is to be able to evacuate the space. There is very little else that should be done. If the place is flooded, even having power on is dangerous, because you can get a lot of people, getting short-circuited and a whole lot of other things. What they have to do is be able to move out of harm's way.
Now that they've refused to move out, if disaster strikes, can we still blame the city authorities?
Well, they are the managers of the city. And, if the responsibility falls with them, and after all the stakeholder meetings, they have failed to act, I think we should be able to lay part of the blame at their doorstep. But the biggest blame goes to the developers themselves.
Let's look at the architecture of the area now. Well, it is a dam, but before the dam, there was human habitation. Is there a way to have the two coexist without people having to be moving out all the time or moving out permanently?
No, I think that I need to correct that impression. The dam was in existence long ago.
The river would have been in existence long ago, but not the dam.
No, you see, I think that we long ago, when people started moving there, a lot of the developers were notified that those areas were floodplain, and it is known, it is on record. I don't think that anybody should throw out information out there that the settlement was there and all of that. No, I don't think that there was any serious settlement within those areas where you have village. When developers started getting to those areas, I remember very well about some 10, 15 years ago that they were informed clearly that they were not supposed to have built there. It will be very interesting to find out how many of them were given permits, because they wouldn't have been able to obtain permits.
I see. So it's actually the people who came to the area after the dam was constructed.
Exactly.
I see. Very well.
Yeah. So I think it is something that we need to be able to investigate further.
Okay.
I'm just praying that it is not a perennial discussion, and that by June, when the rain stops, everybody will stop talking about it again, and then we have to revisit the thing next year.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for speaking to us.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. You're most welcome.
So Tony Asari is with the Institute of Architects, Ghana Institute of Architects. This is Channel 1 Newsroom on Channel 1 Television. Now, transport operators in Accra have welcomed the 15% reduction in transport fares directive issued by the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU. The cedi's depreciation has significantly affected fuel prices. However, some operators have defied the directive, citing high costs of automotive spare parts, and are hinting at a strike. Sarah Pia of the Channel 1 Newsroom has more.
Following the recent appreciation of the Ghana cedi against some major world currencies, the price of fuel has also witnessed a reduction. This informed the Transport Ministry and national executives of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union to arrive at a fare reduction effective today, May 24. Channel 1 News set out to engage drivers at one of the busiest bus stations in Accra, the La Paz station. For drivers operating at this terminal, the directive is a welcome call. They urged traders and spare parts dealers to similarly lower the prices of their goods.
This young long phenomenon so you pay for me the my pepe. No matter about one hand. Who come market? No man board market too much. Also market so almost share now wasn't no man coffee me in a pepe because ya daba for ya neka for moba.
Daniel Amewo, a driver, bemoaned the difficulty on the part of vehicle owners to accept the price adjustments and lower the expected sales from drivers.
Problem is the car owners. So if the reduction of the prices, then they should, the car owners should make a little bit or do something about the sales, because the reduction of the fare. So if maybe car owner, I give car owner about 500 Ghana cedis, and they reduce the fare, it's not possible to even give the car owner the same 500 cedis.
Meanwhile, National Public Relations Officer for the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana, David Agbuado, assured of drivers' compliance to the adjustment. He appealed to other operators to follow suit and issued a warning that defiant drivers will be made to face the law courts.
We have engaged our drivers and they are all complying with what we taught them to do. You can see from our board, from our notice board, and then the handout that we print. The handout that we print and then the board have corresponded. The old fare and then the new fare. And everybody is doing what we ask them to do. We are telling all our drivers and our brothers that are driving elsewhere that once it is we, the same people, that go and solicit for increment, we are the same people that have solicited for the decrease. So they should comply with it. Once it is agreement, we must comply with it. So if you refuse to take the approved fare or the reduction fare, if you refuse, when you are caught, you will be sent to court to answer the questions yourself.
Despite the willingness of transport operators at the Yapeka La Paz station to implement the new transport fares, drivers at the Circle New Plant station are resistant. They lament the refusal of spare parts dealers to cut prices among other concerns and are planning an industrial action.
Last week, Yakotobi, Omuchicha, 260 million, 26. Abosoka Obianti, Bibiasu. Inti, Lodi Feno, the Obiamenti Suma. Your how I am. Your committee, one shall fit the Monday Kobiabe Papa Kinika. As I say, young union, GPRTU, concern, Jubilee, Protua, as some committee.
While some commuters are already experiencing the change in fares, others are yet to. They are calling on the various transport operators to ensure increased public awareness regarding the new fares to make them well informed.
It's very good. I think if basically it has reduced and as they are saying, then I think the government is doing very well. Because compare this government to the other government, it wasn't so. But basically this government is really doing very well. And I hope that they will try their best to reduce it more than what they are talking about.
The Concerned Drivers Association has accepted the reduction in transport fares directive issued by the GPRTU. However, for some members of the Progressive Transport Owners Association here at the Circle New Plant Station, they are opposing the reduction, citing the increase in the prices of spare parts and are threatening a strike. For Channel 1 News, I am Sarah Apia.
Now, most commercial drivers in the Ashanti region have defied GPRTU's directive to reduce transport fares, as announced by the Transport Union. According to the drivers, the 15% fare reduction can only take effect from Monday, May 26. Channel 1 News' Ashanti regional correspondent is Doris Lonta.
As part of efforts to ease the financial burden on Ghanaians and in response to the appreciation of the cedi, the GPRTU gave a directive for drivers to reduce transport fares by 15%, effective today, Saturday, May 24, 2025. I'm here to engage some of the passengers to know if the drivers are complying with the directive.
They are saying that it will take effect from next week probably. So from now, as it stands now, they have not seen any reduction in the fare.
Actually, the fare, they haven't reduced it. It's still the old price. We've been complaining, but they have put a deaf ear to it. And we have no option, because they will say, if you enter, you enter. If you don't enter, you leave. And once you have no option, you take it like that.
Now, what do drivers have to say about the fare reduction? Let's find out.
Also, as you know, your station on. Into this area, I am penny for no. Over the brain. It's a banner say ready. On by listening in a fair in a idea good people. So, nobody are better. And once a winner for my energy, a young to me for a pen can say it. See, no more once and an idea. So,
I said, a neck and now, yeah, fair beba by Monday, any veggie. It's Yamiaduma Monday, said the Tibiado, the Biaba for.
While drivers at the Newsroom GPRTU station are sticking to the old prices, we want to find out from other stations if it is the case and what do passengers have to say about that.
Lola Fendi Atiso, Nemo Tis and Yabuniso. Because spare parts over Yanteso, Nebon will be jet tie, net type out on 300, 250, 300. Do you say food and one idea can what if you are the anti-fence? Yeah, moyens are.
Sir, it's a share. I bind the Abbas yente so 15% no. Ye say ye de be yedwante and nedue ya sha sia ye de yedwuma. Na o call stadium, ufri edumu call a stadium. And this soboro ne eje 5 cities 60 pesos. No freedom air call Asqua Kilavia. Ne say cities. Sisi I in a flat baby 5.
There are mixed reactions to the fare reduction in the Ashanti region. While some drivers are complying with GPRTU's directive, others have defied the directive and say the reduction of the fare would take effect from Monday, May 26. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Doris Glonta, Ashanti region.
Let's remember this story and go on the phone lines and speak to General Secretary of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, Godfred Abulbrea, on the situation. Sir, you're welcome to Channel 1 Newsroom.
Oh, thank you, my brother. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How is your union monitoring and enforcing compliance with the new fare reductions that you announced?
Yeah, I think from the directive on the communique, it is supposed to be effective today. And like the usual Ghanaian attitude, some will always play this hide and seek attitude. But we have, like I mentioned that, we have some union guards, which we have deployed in the various terminals to see whether that effect has taken today or not yet. What we would prefer media people to do as good is that when you go and find a particular terminal is not complying, or drivers in a particular terminal is not complying, they should not say drivers are not complying, but they should not say drivers at this particular station are not complying. That will help us to all check up the system. We know, for our central region, they have said that the information got to them a bit late. So the regional chairman had ordered some kind of another press release and then made it known that between tomorrow, if stations or branches who are working under us don't comply with the directive, of course, sanctions will be meted out to those particular branches or terminals.
What are some of the sanctions that you can mete out to persons who are disobedient of your directive?
You see, one important fact that all drivers don't like, or particular punishment a driver doesn't like, is to seize him and stop him from loading, to deny his loading right. All drivers fear that was more than either fine. The fine him, he pays and he goes away. But no. So we think partly that is what we have to do to make sure there's full compliance.
I see. Let's talk about those who are willing and agree with your directive. Are there some incentives that you give to drivers who decide to do this despite the fact that there are challenges generally and they still agree to reduce their fares? Are there incentives or some benefits for the drivers?
We have not taken that as a first stop yet. But see, the fact is that it's a general attitude. And then there's when something has to go up, like in the past, when fuel prices were expecting increments, some fuel stations will deny that there are no fuel. And then they will be telling, the moment the following day, prices of fuel goes up. So we know that one is an usual attitude.
Okay.
What we are saying is that, so far as this directive has gone out, and in this particular time, all the operators were there. This concern, what they call them, true drivers, all of us were there in unison and accepted that they looking at the character of the fuel, fares to reduce by 50%. So there's no particular branch or union that would say that they were not part of it, and furthermore that they will not comply.
There are some drivers who are saying that there's a high cost of spare parts, and that's why they are increasing their fares, or they will not reduce their fares. Is there anything that the GPRTU does for drivers in terms of the cost of spare parts? Do you have like some packages or benefits for them to cushion them?
One about cushioning. When you look at it carefully, if fuel was this sold at 16 point something per liter, and that has come down to 13% per liter, the percentage reduction was about 18 or 19%. And now, looking at it around, the other factors or components we do normally consider and add up before we do fare increments include the spare parts we mentioned, lubricants, and other fees. But when we did our survey before this particular decision, all the other component factors remained. The prices were the same price as last year. Not that this year there has been a sharp increment. No. So that's why we arrived at that. But as you are suggesting, we would also take that into consideration. Drivers who actually have complied and see what sort of incentive can we do to motivate them to comply in the next future reduction in case it happens.
You said you have, I don't know that you use guards or task force in the stations who enforce your rules and regulations, but from Monday, we do expect at least in some of the vehicles there will be chaos, there will be confusion, there will be fighting, because drivers or bus conductors may want to stick to the old fares. Passengers who have heard the news would say, no, you have to give us a change of some 15% of the total fares.
I don't think so.
Well, I am predicting, so I hope that I become a wrong predictor. But my question is that, what will be your message to both passengers and your union members in relation to a possibility of this confusion from Monday, for instance, which will be like the first busy day since the fares kicked in? Hello? Can you hear me, sir? Apologies, I lost the General Secretary of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Godfred Abobre. We're speaking to him about the reduction of transport fares, which takes effect from Saturday today, and it's some 15% as announced by the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. This is Channel 1 Newsroom on Channel 1 Television. We'll take a break now. When we come back, just days after a major decongestion exercise, some street hawkers are back, reviving business on roads recently cleared by city authorities in Accra. More on that in a bit. Please stay with us.
Life is a celebration of moments. Big and small.
The sun is scorching, I'm feeling the heat.
With Piva Drink, every moment becomes a refreshing celebration. From the beach to your home, in every corner of your world, Piva Drink adds a burst of refreshment.
Give me Piva cocktail and tangerine.
Celebrate every moment with Piva Drink. Refreshment for every occasion. Piva Drink, a taste you will love.
P for Piva.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back. Now, traders in Accra and other parts of the Central Business District have gone back to the streets and other unauthorized trading posts despite a recent decongestion exercise by city authorities. The decongestion exercise, which is expected to span 2 weeks, forms part of a broader urban development strategy prior to the rollout of the government's 24-hour economy program. Channel 1 News' Fauzo Masawudu visited the targeted areas to assess the level of compliance and now has its report.
The Accra Mayor, in a bid to adopting a humane approach in the recent decongestion drive in the Central Business District, launched the Operation Redline, a demarcation strategy to manage the flow of traffic and authorized trading. Days after this initiative, we are back here in Mokola, one of Accra's most sought-after marketplaces, to assess the level of compliance.
Amidst the usual bustling atmosphere in the Central Business District, Safwa Ellen, one of the traders who were complying with the Red Line Directive, commended the AME for the initiative.
I think it's a good idea though, because the human traffic is too much. Yeah. The human traffic is too much. So the Red Line that you brought in, I think it's good. It's
also helping you the trade.
Yeah, sure.
Her colleague acknowledged the significance of the demarcation strategy in ensuring orderliness in the trading center.
However,
the situation is a reverse in other parts of the Central Business District. Traders who had encroached on the streets and operating beyond the demarcation claimed they did so because it was a weekend.
I said more cross a red line.
Saturday, Tamumba. I'm my Saturday, and Tina by any moment. Me for no money Saturdays.
Now, say we are quite embrao, and to say, or mobile Juma or Moon Juma, say was this one.
Oh, my tia, yes, say Saturdays, you bet me from. Yet, those who say, Hamu say me. And I was say, a bimu burning, maybe Musutimitina, a cheer, or more Munika, no Mutimitina.
Meanwhile, road users have raised concerns about the impact of the re-encroachment on the flow of traffic.
But that's a weekend in road. Another. You go far, come to do. But because of traffic, you bound your man to before Mokola. But AMA for number, you want still almost a opinion about one. They just say weekend now we have 24 hours, mine.
Given the extent of resistance from traders in the initial stages of the exercise in selected areas, the assemblies have implemented measures to ensure compliance.
We make a stop now at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, precisely the new plant station. Well, if you are familiar with this route, you'd realize that usually it's a very busy place with traders dotted across this stretch. But following the decongestion exercise by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly in collaboration with the Korle Klottey Municipal Assembly, we can confirm that sanity has been restored.
The security task force was present at the areas prohibited for trading at the time of our visit.
4 years time. Oh yeah. And no media margin channel say, Emubaye. Yabasiaba. But I am Bade baba.
Some be schedule baby ya pamomo.
Ya baba bus stop ode yamma. Bus stop no moje.
The main Kanishi Footbridge was one of the places that were cleared in this enclave during the decongestion exercise. But we are back here and guess what? It seems that was a flash in a pan. It's business as usual here. Traders are fully operational.
The traders who likened the footbridge to an office space say they do not have alternative trading spots.
The office in the head of the office in any baby I can tell
from weekday.
Oh, yeah, Baba, I did it there. Oh, yeah, there, Baba, I tell no dear. I no man. Bounce, I move here to them. But you see,
some of my AM phone, Jumana.
Oh, sir, no dear. Oh, my God, some way I was a hand and yaka credit. If you are going to maybe your pangana and plan and I
For the local government driving this decongestion exercise, it definitely will be a daunting one, but it will not relent in working tirelessly in achieving its objective. Reporting for Channel 1 News, Fauzuma Saudu, Accra.
Now, it's often said that education is a key to success, but for the students of Obakroa DA Basic School, that key may be hard to turn. In Obakroa, a small farming community in the South municipality of the Greater Accra region, children are forced to study under trees due to lack of classroom infrastructure. As the rainy season approaches, concerns are growing that their already fragile learning environment could be further disrupted. Kennedy Chumesi's report on the challenges these determined students face in their pursuit of education comes up next.
At first glance, Obakroa DA Basic School in the South municipality seems to have classroom blocks, but a closer look tells a different story.
This is a school built for about 50-60 years now, which nothing has been done on it since the school was established to date. And this is the state of the school as we see that the school has been dilapidated in the form that is even danger to the people conveying in it.
Roofs are in bad shape, the walls are cracked, windows shattered, and termites have eaten away the wooden beams. In some blocks, the concrete floors are crumbling. The few available classrooms are severely overcrowded, barely standing, and now serve only a fraction of the student body.
As you can see right behind me and around me, the desks are very closed. You can see how congested this place is, and as a result of the space and the lack of infrastructure here, the authorities here are forced to move some of the students under the trees.
As a result, students from JHS 1 to JHS 3 are now forced to study under trees in the open air, exposed to the harsh weather. Their dreams hang in the balance. Whiteboards and school bags laying against tree trunks. With no walls to shield them and no roof above, learning happens not in classrooms, but on wooden desks set in the dust.
This is very terrible. My biggest challenge is that when the sun shines and you are writing, it is really hard. Sometimes you have to push your desk somewhere so that you can find a better place. Meanwhile, some people's desks are also there, so we find it very difficult.
More importantly, as the rainy season sweeps across the country, it also threatens to wash away the dreams of children in Obakroa, a small farming community in the Greater Accra region.
Because we are having the lessons under the trees, when it rains, a class is about 109, and all of them cannot be in the class. So you can imagine 109 pupils in one class. Sometimes the getting access to the classroom is very, very difficult. So you have to stand at the door entrance and then be teaching them, which is very bad. So when it rains like this, sometimes it affects the lessons. Lessons are not effective.
Here, beneath the open skies and the shade of aging trees, students gather daily to learn not in classrooms, but on wooden desks placed in the dust. But with the rains now upon them, their fragile learning environment is on the brink of collapse. Simply, when it rains, lessons stop. When the sun is too hot, concentration also drops. Whichever way, students are worried.
It affects our academic year. For us to sit under the tree, even when it's rain, we are not able to learn. The teachers close us, go home without doing anything. So I'm pleading with the government that they should help us and provide a new block so that we can sit inside and learn. For us to sit inside a classroom and learn, it will improve our academic year. We ourselves will feel comfortable learning in a classroom.
Learning under trees, you told me that snakes even fall. When did this happen?
Last academic year. I thought the snake would even bite us. Because as for us, young people like this, seeing a snake like that, it is very scary.
Malaria, cold, fungal infections, and skin rashes are just a few of the health risks students face due to the prolonged exposure To harsh weather, Assembly member for the area Gilbert Kwame Afekpe has expressed deep concern about the growing health implications, especially as the rains set in.
Whilst teaching and learning is even ongoing, motorbikes will be passing, cows. We have a lorry just closer to the school here, and at times the stench, they have to close them. Whilst it's not even time for closing, snakes will fall from the tree, which is very dangerous to them. Communicable diseases such as TB, muzzle pulses, chicken pulses, because they are too overpopulated and they are even closer to each other. So it's affecting them. Whilst teaching and learning is even ongoing, you see cars passing, the town folks will even be bypassing up and down, smoking, then a whole lot. So it's affecting them a lot.
The concern is even greater for final year students preparing for the Basic Education Certificate examination. Their future rests on exams they must study under trees.
It's not the best, and it saddens my heart because at the end, they will all sit for the same exams, while some are having a favorable learning environment, some are also deprived, and at the end, they all have to sit for the same exams, and they all have to compete for the same schools. And sometimes it's a little bit unfair and challenging to the students.
Assembly member for the area is urging authorities to intervene, pleading for the construction of additional classrooms and a new block for the JHS and primary departments.
I am now pleading to the government, current Minister of Education, Honorable Haruna Ndrusu, Gansaf Municipal Assembly Chief Executive, Honorable Moses Kabuku Okansi, the MP for the Member Obon constituency, Honorable Isaac Akuibo, every stakeholders, NGOs, to come into our aid and give us the support. We need a classroom block. We need teachers' office, teachers' bungalow. They should come into our aid and support us.
Here at Obakrowa DA Basic School, every rainfall delays a lesson and the future. With major infrastructure deficits forcing students to learn under trees, the need for urgent intervention is undeniable, especially as the rains set in. Who will heed the cry of these future leaders? Reporting for Channel 1 News, I am Kennedy Chumesi.
Now, the Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, Vincent Ekwesafua, has cautioned that recent raids conducted by the National Investigations Bureau, NIB, could trigger a resurgence of political vigilante groups. His comments come in the wake of home raids targeting former government appointees and individuals affiliated with the New Patriotic Party, with the latest incidents involving the arrest of Alfred Abebi Okumi, popularly known as Adenta Komi, and the raid on the Ashanti Regional NPP Chairman's residence, that's Bernard Enchibosuaku, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi.
The recent development adds to a number of home raids following the transition of power to the Mahama-led administration. On City FM and Channel 1 TV's weekend news analysis and current affairs program, The Big Issue, Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, Vincent Ekwesafua, condemned the arrest of Adenta Kumi and the raid on Chairman Wontumi's residence. He warned that such actions could erode public confidence in the National Investigations Bureau, leading citizens to resort to personal security arrangements and the revival of political vigilante groups.
Political parties were made to band their vigilante groups. If you don't take care, these guys, who, as it were, paraded themselves as party persons and has been now transitioned into the national security and recklessly raiding houses of well-meaning Ghanaians, we may end up having other political parties also resurrecting their vigilante groups.
However, member of the NDC's communications team and private legal practitioner Neil Pakpo Samoa Ado defended the NIB's actions. He maintained that the rights of the individuals involved were not violated.
In the said video, you heard the gentleman identify himself, say that they are not there to cause any problems, they are inviting him. Then there was the voice of a woman in the same tape saying that, where are you taking him? And they responded, we are taking him to the BNI office at immigration. You can sit in your car and drive and follow. You heard all of that in the video. So wherein lies the problem? Is it that you cannot, the national security apparatus cannot conduct raids? Is it that they cannot invite people
Also contributing to the discussion, spokesperson for the Movement for Change and private legal practitioner Andrew Sapia Dankwa condemned what he described as the troubling conduct of the NIB in recent times.
In my view, the Rambo-style manner in which the national security purportedly is carrying out these operations, and especially with the charges that are being leveled against them, for me, I think that what doesn't bode well for our democracy at all. It's very needless.
President of Imani Africa, Franklin Kujo, expressed similar sentiments, cautioning that the situation could create an opening for bad actors to exploit the growing trend.
I'm happy the gentleman is out. But I sincerely think that we should be very, very careful the way we handle this. A simple invitation would have done the trick, and then otherwise, you motivate agent provocateurs, people who are willing to take advantage of certain situations and just go and misbehave.
Stakeholders warn that unchecked activities of these security operatives could undermine public trust and national stability. For Channel 1 News, I am Daniel Sakite.
This is Channel 1 Newsroom on Channel 1 Television. Still ahead. Board Chairman of Ghana National Gas Company, Kofi Totobi Kwachi, assures immediate completion of delayed projects. More on that when we come back. Please stay with us.
Introducing Betway's Bet Influencer, a groundbreaking feature where you can make money by just sharing codes. He just needs to share his codes and make money. The more his codes are used, the more money he makes. Oh yes, so what are you waiting for? Anyone can be a bet influencer. Share your codes and make money. Bet Influencer, another world first from Betway.
This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more.
Every day, people have money emergencies. Ma, I need my school fees emergency. Mommy chop money emergency. Emergency. Catch it. I'm your rent emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number in town.
More money, challenge and enjoyment. At the top life we got.
Dial star 770 hash for all your money emergencies and chop life.
Dial star 770 hash for money emergencies and get easy and quick access to your money, loans, and other banking needs. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
You're welcome back. Now, the board chairman of the Ghana National Gas Company, Kofi Totobi Kwachi, has assured that the board will immediately act on completing delayed projects started by the company. Kofi Totobi Kwachi gave the assurance after the newly constituted Ghana Gas Board toured the Atuabo gas processing plant and associated uncompleted projects, including a $25 million cylinder bottling plant in a trauma center. Channel 1 TV News' Western Regional Correspondent Akwesi Ejenim followed them.
On their first official visit to the Atuabo gas processing plant, members of the newly constituted Ghana Gas Board inspected several installations. These included the main plant, the underutilized Anochi gantry, completed but inactive for years, and a near-complete trauma center yet to be operationalized. The delegation, led by the board chairman, Kofi Totobi Kwachi, also visited the 25 million Ghana cedi Ghana gas cylinder bottling plant. Briefing the board, the general manager for technical services, Robert Asma, noted that $10 million has already been spent on the bottling plant. He attributed the delays primarily to the contractor-related issues.
The original cost for this project is 25 million Ghana cedis, US dollars. And so far we spent close to 10 million US dollars. The construction is a bit slow due to obvious reasons of the contractor lacking, talking of finances.
After the tour, board chairman Kofi Tobikwachi expressed satisfaction with the progress so far and committed to addressing the hurdles delaying the remaining works.
We are not impressed with the progress of work because we didn't see too much. We have to go down to the drawing board to see where we can listen. We don't want the money, any investment should not go waste. So we'll have to review what has been done and see how we can take it up from there.
Acting CEO of Ghana Gas, Judith Ajobabile, also reaffirmed the company's commitment to completing all outstanding projects, highlighting ongoing efforts to bring them to full operational status.
What we saw is the preparatory work. The core of the work for the bottling plant is going to be installations, which whatever money we've sunk into those in the bottling plant has been used to buy such installations, I believe from France. And in the ensuing months, these installations will come to Ghana. We still need money, the contractor needs money to install these carousels and other installations to make it work. We have to find money to complete them. Otherwise, then it's sunken money and it's a waste. And we need to complete them in order to reap the benefits of our investment.
The new acting chief executive officer says that for such stability to be guaranteed, it is seeking to ensure that the GPRTU, which is the second phase of the gas processing plant, would definitely be constructed. For Channel 1 TV News, I'm in Atuabo.
Now, residents of Agoba Costway in the Domi Kwabenya constituency of the Greater Accra region are expressing frustration over the poor condition of the Causeway Down Road months after construction work was abruptly halted. Patricia Boateng has more in the following report.
The Agoba Causeway Road remains a daily challenge for commuters and residents, plagued by dust, deep potholes, and a deteriorating bridge. While filming this report, I lost my footing and almost fell. An unfortunate but telling reminder of the daily struggles faced by those who use this road. Godfred Asante, a mechanic in the community, shares how the poor state of the road impacts his clients and their vehicles.
Once the road is no good all the time, people have faults and other things over here, especially the big cars and also the small cars. These cars, the saloon cars are ground, so they feel the impact on the road because of the chippings and also the gravels. Ahmed,
a commuter, also describes the physical and emotional toll of using the road each day on his way home.
At Ashoma Estate, I'm going to my house. It's cost me a lot before I reach. Dust, then bad car. Even you won't get car from here to go unless you go and pass the other side.
Some residents also recount community-led efforts to fix portions of the road and bridge. However, they are now calling on the government to urgently intervene and provide a lasting solution, especially after recent downpours worsened the condition of the road.
Na bridge no yemihu ni say akaketua bi kura ma na yi na nso so nipa edaso ye ehwe ade no say enyin kum nipa ansa na e bi oma abehwe atu ho na mo mintimi hu na no nsuo toye kantimi mfa ho nipa ntimi mfa ho ati se kofa agogwa cemetery ho ansa na ya timi abafie.
You know, the new DVLA is in this area close to Academic City. And so most of the traffic is diverted along this road. I mean, look at the time of day and look at the traffic plying this road. And so we really want to beg the authorities to prioritize the refixing of this very road.
The municipal roads engineer for Ghana East, Daniel Autry, confirmed off the record that construction on the road began last year and continued into January. However, work was halted following instructions from the Department of Urban Roads.
Residents of Agoba Causeway have been left with broken premises and broken roads. A year after the assembly visited this place to work on the road, nothing much has been done. They are appealing to relevant authorities to come to their aid. For Channel 1 News, I am Patricia Boateng.
Well, that's how we end today's edition of the Channel 1 Newsroom. Visit our website, channel1news.com, for information on our top stories and more. Subscribe to Channel 1 TV on YouTube for more exclusive video content from Channel 1 Television. I am Umaru Sandamado. Many thanks for watching.